Hello everyone, I am Drishti Bhagchandani, a second prof MBBS student from LN Medical College, Bhopal. Today I would be talking about a case given to me in this competition, which is of Cushing's syndrome. Although Cushing's syndrome is a very rare disorder, but it still affects patients in a variety of ways due to its complex nature. So let's get into it. In the first part of this video, I would be dealing with the differential diagnosis and the most likely diagnosis of the case. My first approach would be to focus on the symptoms that brought the patient in, that is, the chief complaints of the patients. These would be a recent panic attack, recent rapid weight gain, and excessive sweating. Now, keeping these in mind, the next things to notice would be the signs that the patient is showing, which are swollen face, swollen trunk, thinner arms and legs as compared to the torso. The patient sounds depressed, and supraclavicular fat pads. The patient also complains of recent weakness, backaches, headaches, and irregular menstrual cycle and slow wound healing. These symptoms and signs definitely indicate a hormonal disbalance and therefore an endocrine disorder. The suggestive signs and symptoms are swollen trunk and face, first of all, irregular menstrual cycle, and central obesity. The further investigations done were BP was examined, which came out to be 130 by 86 mmHg, and the BMI was calculated, which was 33. 24-hour urine collection for free cortisol, which came out to be abnormally high. Plasma ACTH levels, which were 7 picogram per milliliter. Pituitary MRI, which came out to be normal. CT abdomen and chest, which showed an adrenal tumor. Looking at these symptoms and keeping in mind the investigations done with their results, a general idea comes to mind that this is a case of Cushing's syndrome, which is a disorder related to an excessive increase in free cortisol levels. But Cushing's syndrome consists of a variety of causes under its wide umbrella, for which a proper differential diagnosis is very important, as the correct diagnosis will help us to engineer a proper treatment for the patient. First, justifying that this is a case of Cushing's syndrome is very important. For this, let's quickly look at some functions of the glucocorticoid cortisol. Cortisol is released from zona fasciculata part of the adrenal cortex. This release is mediated by two hormones, the corticotropic hormone and the adrenocorticotropic hormone, released from the hypothalamus and pituitary respectively. Five percent of this cortisol released is free cortisol and the rest is bound to cortisol binding globulin. The free cortisol, as seen in the figure, mainly stimulates gluconeogenesis. It means it stimulates the formation of glucose from non-carbohydrate substrates, which are proteins, fats, etc. Now, to achieve gluconeogenesis, it needs to break down protein and fat. Therefore, it causes proteolysis, that means breakdown of protein, and lipolysis, that is breakdown of fat. This glucose increase in blood in turn increases the blood insulin levels because insulin lowers blood glucose levels. Now, insulin has another major function, that it targets the central adipocytes, that is the fat cells of the body. This means the area around the hips and the waist. Insulin increases the accumulation of fat molecules in these fat cells, causing thinning of arms and legs and central obesity, as can be clearly seen in the given image. Therefore, an increase in cortisol levels causes central obesity, which is an important sign of Cushing's syndrome. Cortisol also inhibits GnRH, that is the gonadotropin releasing hormone. This inhibition leads to damaged ovarian and testicular functions. So in this case, this could be an appropriate explanation for the irregular menstrual cycle of the patient. Another function of cortisol is that it maintains the BP, and it does so by increasing the sensitivity of blood vessels to catecholamines like adrenaline and noradrenaline. Now, to understand this, let's take an example of a pipe with an opening or a lumen. This can be considered as the blood vessel, and the water flowing through it can be assumed to be the blood. Now, in normal conditions, the water flowing through this pipe would be flowing with a normal pressure. But when I apply external pressure with my other hand or any external force, the opening narrows down and the water flowing through the pipe would come out with a much higher pressure as compared to before. This is the exact effect caused by catecholamines like adrenaline and noradrenaline, which explains the increased blood pressure. Cortisol stimulates or increases this effect, causing the increased blood pressure. Now, Cushing's can either be ACTH dependent or ACTH independent. For this, a differential diagnosis is required. The first differentiating factor is plasma ACTH levels. Then further investigations are done, like the 24-hour urine for free cortisol levels, which in this case came out to be abnormally high. So if plasma ACTH levels are normal or high, that is higher than 15 picogram per milliliter, it means it is ACTH dependent Cushing's syndrome, because in these cases the cortisol increase is due to increased ACTH levels. This is because this type of Cushing's can be caused by pituitary tumors, which leads to an increased ACTH release, therefore the increased ACTH levels and the cortisol increased levels. Or it can be caused by ectopic adrenocorticotropic hormone syndrome, which means that different parts of the body release ACTH, which leads to a cortisol increase. But if plasma ACTH levels are low to less than 5 to 7 picogram per milliliter, then it is a case of ACTH independent Cushing's syndrome. This is because this type of Cushing's is generally caused by adrenal tumors, which may be benign or malignant, which leads to a direct increased cortisol level that causes a negative feedback to the hypothalamus as well as the pituitary, which is the reason for the suppressed ACTH levels. After knowing that it can be a case of ACTH independent Cushing's, an enhanced CT or computed tomography of adrenals is done, which in this case shows an adrenal tumor. And to further confirm that it is not due to any pituitary tumor, an MRI of the pituitary is done, which in this case came out to be normal. So the most likely diagnosis of this case is ACTH independent Cushing's syndrome due to adrenal tumor. Now, what therapy should be given to this patient, or what treatment should be used to treat a patient of Cushing's syndrome? Cushing's can be related to a poor prognosis if left untreated. So in this case, with ACTH independent Cushing's syndrome, there can be two approaches: medicinal approach and surgical approach for the treatment. For the medicinal approach, oral agents like metirapone and ketoconazole, which have high efficacy, can be used. Metirapone inhibits cortisol synthesis at late levels of steroidogenesis, whereas on the other hand, ketoconazole inhibits this cortisol synthesis in the initial levels. The surgical approach would be the removal of the adrenal tumors. This is a table showing various causes of ACTH dependent and independent Cushing's syndrome. ACTH dependent Cushing's syndrome can be caused by a pituitary tumor or an ectopic ACTH syndrome, whereas ACTH independent Cushing's syndrome can be mainly caused by adrenal tumors, benign or malignant. Thank you everyone for patient listening, and thank you to the judges and the organizers of this competition for giving us such an enlightening topic. Thank you.